So we've done our shape around. So now we're going to do the center part. We're going to frame our wreath in the middle here. So we need smaller pieces this time. So we take a piece that we've got with our scissors or our secateurs, and we just take little bits. It's good to, I find it's easier to prepare this before I do it all, like I did for the outside of the wreath. The wreath has a lovely story for Christmas. Years and years and years ago, when they didn't have sparkly balls and lovely little twig lights like you can see here in the background, they didn't really even have candles, did they? But they did lovely things at Christmas. They went out into the woods, into the forests, and they picked yew, and they used to bring them back to their dwelling place and make arches and rings, and that's how the wreath began, the story, because they used to plait them and bend them and shape them in wood and twist them and make them as presents for different families that they loved and friendships. So that's how the wreath began. And then we know with the Christian story of Jesus Christ. So Christmas is a very special thing, even if people don't have much money for decorations. They still can go and gather lovely foliage and make wreaths and twist wood and use what they can find in the woods. I just thought you'd find that quite interesting. Right, let's just start and let me show you the inner parts. As I said, we use smaller pieces. And put it in to the flow. If you've gone this way, like I have, just put it into the sides. Now the secret here is to leave the hole. Many people do this and they fill up the hole. That's not what we should be doing. We should be filling up the hole. I mean, not filling up the hole, sorry. Just putting little bits in here to decorate. If you find the outside a little bit thin, like I've just spotted a piece here, you can just pop and thicken it up a bit. The wispy bits are not so good for the centre of the wreath. It's best to get strong little twiggly bits with a stem. Now I'm going to go also on to preparing my eucalyptus, and I'll put some of this in the centre too with the yew, the tiny little bits. Making sure that if you found that, like I have, that your yew is too long for your inside bit, then just trim it to the size you want. As I said, I'm putting a little bit of eucalyptus in here as well. I like the little berry bits. Somebody brought this yew, picked it from their garden or somewhere, and it's got little tiny little fruit on it, if you see that. So pretty, isn't it? So I'm putting that in. If you find a little bit that's a bit too big, just take it out, because there'll be another place for it. There we go. So I've used the ring. I've still got the hole here in the middle. And now we're going to start. And now we're going to start filling up the flat piece, which is the important piece. And we'll use the holly, and we'll use the eucalyptus, and we'll use a little bit of yew. If you've got any rosemary in your garden, that is lovely. 7 or 8 stems of rosemary. With floristry, you always do odd numbers, so 7 or 9 pieces of rosemary. Rosemary is excellent because, like yew, it has this tough stick-like. You have the foliage of the rosemary, and then you have the stick to be able to press into the oasis. So that's a very useful thing to have. So find a friend or yourself, or even this Christmas or in the spring, plant a rose bush in a pot, and then next Christmas you'll have rosemary for your wreath and for your roast lamb. I love rosemary. I have a Labrador, and when she wags her tail and she's pleased about going for a walk or something, she passes my 2 rosemary bushes, and suddenly, like the mint, when she wags her tail, there's the most glorious smell. So we're going to do the top now. So we're going to take holly, and we're going to prepare it. Holly. It's best to have rubber gloves when you do this. Got an assistant here, which is glorious. And as I said before, you have your holly stem. You have your holly stem, and then you cut off your pieces of holly. Hello there. But you just cut it off. It's on a video. I haven't done this before, because the whole idea is to show you how to do this. But normally you would prepare a pile of holly, a pile of yew, and your ivy. You take your leaves off, but we're doing it from scratch here so that everyone knows what they're doing. So when you get your holly, just take your lower leaves off. Make sure there's a little stem for you to pop it on, And then remember your circle here. Your circle here is going this way, so you need to also slant your holly the way you want to go. Take the little bits off. Now you may have noticed we don't have so much holly this year, and I remember my mother saying that when we're going to have a cold winter, there'll be more berries on the trees. But I think, personally, this year there are berries, but if you've noticed, a lot of them have already gone. And I think birds that must be very intelligent, they know that it's going to be a cold winter. I believe we're going to have quite a lot of snow after Christmas, January, February. And I think they're stocking up because, as you know, the berries have the oil that keeps the bird warm for winter. I know myself here, I'll look out of my kitchen window in the winter and the blackbird will come onto my little table where I feed the birds, and he'll sit under my bird trays hoping for a nice fat peanut to fall down. And when I see him doing that, I know that snow is coming. And I'm never wrong, because I might look out and it's a blue sky like today, but then it suddenly gets warm and they know that it's going to fall, the snow is going to fall in a day or so. So that's when my blackbird gives it away. I know it's going to snow. And he never fails, or she never fails to come, because she knows that goodies are here for her. It's good to put water out for birds as well. I never knew that. I mean, it's common sense, isn't it? Because everything gets iced up. But a lot of what I didn't know is a lot of birds die, not from lack of food, but from lack of water. Now, I don't know how you're doing with your holly. When there's not enough holly, you can go out and buy artificial holly, if you so want. I'm going to finish doing the holly and then we'll start on the ivy. I'm working with what we're going to basically do, but if you ever want to do something extra, like I do for my door, I've already told you that I use rosemary because that's lovely and it lasts and doesn't mind the cold and the frost on my door. But one of my favourites is a bay leaf. I have a bay leaf tree in a tub. I have some bay leaf sort of growing in my flower bed, and I go out and I pick that, and that's very pretty. So we're going to start with the ivy now, or perhaps just finish one or two bits of the holly. And then we're going to do the eucalyptus before we do the ivy. It's good to do the foliage and finish the foliage before you start doing the what I call special decoration, which is the ivy, the cones, thistles, this sort of thing.